With the Battle of the Atlantic, remember how much technology's changed. So we have things like the big, monstrous Bismarck that makes even those old World War I dreadnoughts look little. It will kill some very big British ships. It terrorizes the British for several months. But ultimately, remember, it's taken down by torpedo-carrying biplanes off of that new piece of technology, the aircraft carrier. Which means the Germans are really going to have to go back to relying on that thing that Hitler didn't want to rely on, which is the U-boats. However, they will have a staggering impact during the war. They have gotten much better. They can stay at sea longer. They can stay submerged longer. They carry more torpedoes. And especially in 40 and 41 will be the absolute scourge of the seas, even into 42 for that matter. But 40, 41, and 42 are just the killing zones. So what do the British have to face this? The British, remember, still have the much bigger surface fleet. So when it comes to things like a heavy cruiser, yes, not as big as the Bismarck, but they have so many of these, as well as their own battleships, like the old Warspite we saw in World War I has been reconfigured and updated. But really, one of the keys, if that's going to be the key German weapon, then one of the key British weapons becomes this, a relatively new invention, the destroyer. Destroyers carry smaller guns, on average 76 millimeters, which is actually what you're looking at here. This is a U.S. destroyer shell that is a 76 millimeter. It's firing exactly what one of those is. Now, it looks gigantic, but then you consider how monstrous the guns are on those dreadnoughts and battleships. These are not to scale to each other. They're all just kind of set up. But destroyers have a couple things going for them. One, these are torpedo tubes. So the destroyers themselves can maneuver, lay down smoke, and then sprint in and fire a spread of torpedoes at the big monster ships. And actually, a little destroyer can take down something much bigger. More importantly, is that this is the vessel that they've decided to make the anti-submarine vessel. Oftentimes off the fantail, or sometimes on the same side as the torpedoes. They'll have those depth charge launchers, as well as they're now heavily equipped with a new invention. They use the hydrophone in World War I, but they've actually invented sonar. And so these become the sub-hunters. These are the ones that go out and can actually now kill a submarine. When it comes to the Battle of Britain, remember we talked about the British being vastly outnumbered, but the key is going to be techs. We're going to come back to them, and let's just review the German tech real fast. The Me-109, at the time it was built, greatest fighter in the world. The Me-110, supposed to be a fighter, a light bomber, so heavily armored that it could drop bombs and defend itself. The infamous Stuka, the flying cannon, but remember, very slow, as they're about to find out. And then all the medium and twin-engine bombers, things like the Heinkel, Dornier, which you don't see here, and the Ju-88, a very successful platform. And remember, the key is not only do you see all these different kinds of tech, but that the Germans outnumber the British 2-1. Now, what do the British have going for them? One, they have two fighters that are at least as good as the Me-109. The one that's more famous, the Supermarine Spitfire, and that iconic shape. But the actual workhorse of the RAF during the Battle of Britain was the Hawker Hurricane. And think of the video we just watched. This, for instance, is the legendary aircraft flown by the 303, the all-Polish plus one Czech squadron that went on to become more decorated and get more kills than any other unit. The British also have gone the route of a twin-engine light bomber, but theirs is staggeringly successful. This is the Mosquito. You're going to be checking it out in your other video. And it is one of the fastest non-jet aircraft of World War I. It is used as a night fighter. It's used as a scout plane. And it's also often used as a lead bomber. Get in, get fast, get low, drop incendiary bombs or flares to mark a target, and then the other British bombers would follow on. Now, this is probably the most famous British medium bomber. This is the Wellington. Heavy cargo, long legs for a medium bomber. But this is actually not the best British bomber. I unfortunately don't have a kit. I wish I did. It's called the Lancaster. The British built the best heavy bomber of World War II until the Super Fortress comes out. It could carry more bombs, it could fly farther, it could do more damage and do it more accurately than anything else in the sky. And one of the things that helped was this. So pay close attention to your Mosquito video and just see how much different it is. And of course, the other thing then, besides the fighters that are attempting to take down the German planes, is the British air defenses, which actually do a phenomenal job guided by the radar and where they're coming from. So this has been your review of the Atlantic and Battle of Britain technology. If you have any questions, come see me.